The next question that arises when it comes to the trial of Jesus is a simple one. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, at the hearing before the Sanhedrin, they said that what Jesus had said was blasphemy. Well, I sure don't see any blasphemy there.
Yeah, well, a fundy atheist wouldn't see blasphemy in a 10-hour George Carlin performance. But, yeah, I know what you mean. What exactly is blasphemous about what Jesus said? There are two aspects to Jesus' words we need to consider. The first is his affirmation that he is the Messiah. The second is the cluster of material related to being the Son of Man. Of course, our assumption here is that when Jesus says Son of Man, he's talking about himself in the third person. There are some who doubt that, and in another future series we might discuss that issue, but since it's only peripheral to the issue of the trial, we'll put it aside for now. Let's start with the claim to be Messiah. Many scholars argue that this is probably not blasphemy, because after all there were many messianic pretenders in Palestine around this time, and none were charged with blasphemy. Not even the most successful of the pretenders, Simon bar Kochba. I tend to think that yes, of the two clusters here, the claim to be Messiah is less likely to be what was in mind for the charge of blasphemy. But then again, maybe not. A key difference here is that Jesus himself is claiming to be the Messiah, while bar Kochba only silently stood by while others claimed that he was the Messiah. One biblical scholar, J.C. O'Neill, has argued that the blasphemy lie in making a self-claim to be Messiah, because according to the beliefs of the time, the Messiah would not glorify himself and would wait for God to identify him. Could this be true? Well, maybe. It's interesting to notice that earlier messianic pretenders are recorded as claiming to be a king, but not Messiah specifically. On the other hand, it's a little odd to think that other people could identify someone as Messiah and not be charged with blasphemy the same way. For that reason, I'm inclined to think that the claim to be Messiah wasn't the fundamental basis for the blasphemy charge. That leaves us with the Son of Man material. Could this be the blasphemy Caiaphas had in mind? I believe it is. In this case, the self-identification of Jesus as Son of Man is fundamental. By giving himself that designation, Jesus identified himself with the divine figure recorded in Daniel 7. By so doing, in the eyes of the high priest, Jesus as a mere man was denigrating the divine by identifying himself with it. As I said before, I'm assuming that Jesus did identify himself with that figure in what he said. I'm also assuming something that is less controversial, which is that the Son of Man figure in Daniel 7 was regarded as divine. But that's something we'll have to develop further in another series. All of that leaves us with one more question.
Okay, that's all well and good, but even if the Sanhedrin recognized what Jesus said as blasphemy, what was the charge they brought to Pilate? He wouldn't give a flick about blasphemy of the Jewish God.
Well, that's true, and it's obvious that they must have brought Jesus to Pilate on some other charge, one which was punished by crucifixion. In this case, the issue isn't very controversial. The charge brought to Pilate was sedition against the Roman state, and it wouldn't be hard to get that out of the part of Jesus' statement we left behind earlier, the claim to be Messiah. That would have had some pretty obvious political implications for Pilate. So we've now hit the Roman phase of the trial of Jesus, and that means... what? Now I said just one more. What is it?
You forgot something. If Jesus was guilty of blasphemy, why didn't they stone him?
I already discussed that somewhere else in this vid.
I know that, but you forgot a lot of stuff.
Oh, like what?
We'll talk about that next time.
You've been wanting to say that for a while now, haven't you?